Well, I am truly sorry that they postponed Charlotte Shout and the podcast festival to go with it. Man Listening was going to do a live public taping, and that doesn't mean that I didn't talk to the very same special guest who will be appearing this time next week on the podcast. So I did same guest in the same time slot that we would have done live, and we met face to face, and it was a really special conversation. If you'd like to support Man Listening and elevating the strong voices of powerful and resilient women, just go on over to Patreon, Patreon, and look for Man Listening, one word. Thank you for your support.
And I get into this rhythm of hearing my feet on the pavement or concrete, and I'm just free-flowing.
What is the sound of one man listening? This is Man Listening, a fresh podcast featuring the stories of strong women who bounce back. Man Listening, because every woman deserves to be heard.
Hello there, and welcome to Man Listening. I'm Stuart Watson. I met Felicia Bittle through one of the producers of this program, one of the developmental producers, Allison Andrews, and she just has this eye for fashion, and I hired her actually to come stand in my closet and go, yep, nope, nope. Well, what are you looking for? She does it professionally, and really it's a gift. But I wanted to talk to her about a whole bunch of different things, and she really has a warm and inviting presence and really helps people and supports them and gives them confidence. So this podcast was recorded on a park bench in the 4th Ward. You're going to hear the fountain in the background and a little pitter-patter of rain as we had to open our umbrellas. But it's real, it's live, and it's real. Felicia Bittle. Where were you born?
Morven, South Carolina.
Hospital or home?
Hospital.
For your mother, you were number what of how many?
I was the second of 3, but I think I was the hardest of all.
Why do you say that?
So my mama tells this story about, so my name was originally supposed to be Monique. And she says this story about how she was so out of it after the labor, she couldn't remember my name. So the doctor actually named me Felicia.
She let the doctor name you.
She said she was so out of it, she could not remember the name she had for me.
She said you pick.
So whenever I tell people I was originally supposed to be a Monique, they're like, oh, I could see that. And I was like, dang it.
If you had been Monique, who is Felicia and who is Monique? There's this shadow character.
Monique just sounds so, I don't know, ba-ba-boom or a little bit regal. Or Felicia for me, I mean, I love Felicia. I wouldn't change it for a thing, but it's almost like, I don't know, it feels like that's a Southern girl, country girl name, Felicia. So I love Felicia. That's who I am.
So you were born and named before the whole, what is it, bye Felicia?
Absolutely.
And that has got to have been hard.
First of all, it's not annoying, but everybody gets so excited when they say that joke. They think it's the funniest thing. And I'm like, okay, I think you're number 1002 that said that joke to me. They're like, I know you're going to hate it, but bye, Felicia. And I was like, you feel better? Do you feel better?
I'm glad it worked for you, because I'm over it. I'm
Correct.
tired. Did you know that was going to be a tagline?
Absolutely not. And I actually remember the movie it was in. I think it was in Friday with like Ice Cube. And I remember I was so excited because you don't really see Felicia in too many movies, if any. So the young lady, there was a character named Felicia. So I was like, oh my God, there's a Felicia. There's actually a Felicia. And I remember when he said, bye, Felicia. But I did not know it would do something to that extent where it become like a tagline or something.
Have you ever regretted being Felicia? It seemed like you leaned into it.
No, so my last name is Bittle.
Right.
So when I was growing up, I did not like the name Bittle. The kids called me, and I don't know if you remember, there's a dog food called Kibbles and Bits.
Kibbles and Bits.
So the kids were like, there go Felicia. Kibbles and Biddles and Biddles and Biddles. And I don't, kids, It's funny now, but when you're a kid, that is like the most embarrassing thing. And they will all just kind of chime in on it. Kibbles and Biddles and Biddles and Biddles. So it wasn't Felicia that I had a hard time with. It was Biddle.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now I love Biddle because it's just like you don't meet a lot of Biddles.
Where did you grow up?
Charlotte, North Carolina. So I am a unicorn. There's not too many of us left.
There are not. Where did you graduate high school?
Garinger High School, Wildcat.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
When you were a little girl, first off, how far apart are the three of you?
So my brother Adrian, he's the oldest. He and I are 2 years apart. Me and my younger brother Maurice are 3 years apart. But I'm the middle child and only girl.
So you got some attention because of that.
Okay, so it's a blessing and a curse. I'm an only girl, which meant my father had his thumb on my forehead the entire time. And so I would be sitting there, and my father would allow my brother to do things, but because I'm the girl, I couldn't do it. And my father's a country, he chews concrete and spits out nails, and he was raised on a farm, so he has very strong ideas of the role of a woman versus a man, girl versus boy. So I would be like, why Adrian and Maurice get to, and even my younger brother was allowed to do certain things because he was a male. And so that was the curse of it. But my mother, the blessing of it sometimes was my mother would be like, your daddy will walk through fire to get whatever it is that you want. So she would always say, be careful about your power of asking for what you want because he will make it happen. Protective, supportive. So it was like a blessing and a curse, kind of, sort of.
So when you started dating,
I didn't date.
You didn't dare.
I didn't. It wasn't worth it. It was not worth it. My father, I think my first date was prom of senior year.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. My brothers were dating before that. And even with prom, I had to almost give my daddy enough time to kind of soak it in. Like, I couldn't ask him the day before. It was one of them things I kept saying, Dad, I got senior prom this year. I'll be going on a date. I was doing that all year to prepare. And so my mother was like, I'll talk to him. Don't worry about it. Because I was like, am I not going to go to prom? Is that a possibility?
Did he have to meet this young man?
Absolutely. But so when I was that year, I made sure, it was my boyfriend at the time, but he would come to the house and my daddy would let us go sit in the living room. You know how there was always this one nice room in the house?
Yeah.
I don't know if people do that so much anymore,
Oh, sure.
but we
The
call
formal.
that the formal room.
Yeah.
So my father would let him come over and we could sit in the formal room for maybe about 2 hours, and then it was time for the young man to go. But at least my daddy kind of got a chance to meet him and things
that's
like that.
good.
Yeah. Did he like him? Absolutely not. But it made it comfortable for him when it was time for me to go on my
Could have been
prom.
Jesus. It wouldn't have been.
Oh, Jesus walking on water in front of him. Nope. Nope.
Now, when you're a little girl, like 2 years old, your mother would have said, Felicia was so what?
Headstrong.
Oh.
Like, I was very much my way or no way. And I don't even know, until a certain degree, I'm still like that. I have to kind of mentally say to myself, you're not being reasonable, Felicia, or you need to hear somebody else's opinion, Felicia. See it from their side, Felicia. But I was very much my way or no way. And so if I didn't get my way, I would have a fit. I would have a fit. My mother said there were times when I was young that I would just cry if I did not get my way. And I said, I was? She was like, yes. She was like, it was pretty much your way or no way. I was like, oh. But that's what she was saying. I was very headstrong.
Now, do you make up your mind really quickly? Like, are you like, yes or no?
I do.
And then once you make up your mind,
I'm there. Like, it has to be, I'm not one of those people that make lists. I don't like mull over it. I've gotten to the point where I'm like, this is the decision you're making. You're just going to have to deal with the consequences and repercussions. Because what happens is if I don't hold to what I initially wanted and it doesn't go the way that I initially wanted, it's harder for me to kind of get over it. Whereas if it's what I wanted in the beginning and it still doesn't work out, well, that's what you wanted. That's what it is. But if I start faltering or asking for a lot of opinions and change my mind based upon others, it just never lands the same for me.
has there ever been a case where you said, that way, and you were like, uh-oh, ooh,
Oh, this is
I need to back out of this? Big or small, have there been cases where you said, that way, and you were like, oh man, that was wrong?
Oh, God. And if he ever hears this, I hope he understands, but my marriage.
Oh, that's a big one.
That's a big one. That's a big one. That's the one I kind of, once I said, once he proposed and I said I do, I was in it. Even though there may have been some things I saw, I already committed to it. So I was going to go through with it.
So there were warning signs.
There were, we weren't ready signs. And I am a people pleaser to a certain extent. I'm trying to get better with it, but it was one of those things where we had dated for about 3 years. It almost like once you kind of go through the natural progression, it's time for us to be engaged. And he did such a wonderful proposal.
Where were you?
We were on a cruise in the Bahamas.
Oh.
And I didn't know he was going to propose. And we were at the top deck, and it was a windy night, and we were having drinks, and I was looking at the water, and I turned around, and he was on his knee. And I was just like, oh my God, because I was completely in shock. And I think there was a part of me that almost was like, are you really ready for this? Are y'all ready? But there was also a part of me was like, he did all this for you. And he doesn't do anything fly by, I know if he did that, he's thought about it, it's what he really wanted. So I was like, you love this dude. Y'all been together for 3 years. Say yes. Say yes. And I did.
Well, surely y'all talked about it before.
We did. But I don't know. I think it wasn't necessarily real for me. Like, we talked about it and we mulled over it, but it doesn't become real until you see that ring and he's on a knee and you're like, oh, okay, yes. But then as the planning went on and things were going, there was the angel and the devil on my shoulder like, Felicia, are you really ready for this? Are you looking at this? And then there was a part of me that was like, y'all will fix it. It'll work itself out. Like, I think a lot of people do that. It'll work itself out.
Now, how old were you?
So, what am I? I'm 46 now.
Oh, my God. I had you at 36 and holding.
Okay, that was a good, oh, my God. Okay. Let me see. Let me count back. 46. We've been divorced for about 6 years. Goodness, but we separated. I'm sorry, I had to count back. You ever have something happen in your life?
Were you in college? Were you out of college?
I was out of college, so I was about 35.
Oh, okay.
I had to count back. As anything, you know how sometimes things happen, but it's almost surreal?
Right.
You almost got to remember that you were in those moments at one time.
You got to say, where was I living?
Yeah. So I was about 35.
Yeah. Now, do y'all get along?
I get along with his sister very much so. I love her to death. It's not even that we don't get along, we don't interact.
Right.
But he's such a good dude. He always sends me a happy birthday text.
That's nice.
And so if we bump into each other, I don't think it would be awkward or anything. We just don't interact.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, having made the decision and had the, big ceremony, or was it
I had this, it was about 200 folks at the Botanical Gardens, the Daniel Stowe Botanical Gardens. Oh, it was one for the books. It was gorgeous. We had a gorgeous wedding. And so I was the first one out of my brothers I wasn't the first one to get married, but I was the first one to actually have an actual ceremony. Mm-hmm. So had my grandmother there, my parents were there, my daddy walked me down the aisle. It was a beautiful wedding. Yeah.
Did your father think this was a good idea? Did anybody say?
My father did. It's so funny you brought this up because I was talking to my mother about it the other night because I don't think she knew. But when when I met my father for him to lead me down the aisle, he took a pause with me. And he looked at me and he said, if you do not want to do this, we will turn around. It won't be a problem. Everybody will be just fine. And I looked at him and I just said, let's go, Daddy. But I think that was his way of saying, if you're not comfortable, we can do it. But they know me as their child, I'm very headstrong. So you kind of got to be careful how you present things to me. If you tell me not to, or you give me a lot of pushback on something, I'm gonna dig my heel in it, and I'm gonna prove to you that this is what I want. I look back at that time and I was like, that was my father saying, it's okay if you don't want to do this. So, but we went down the aisle. But I think I had to go through that. You almost had to go through these moments sometime to know that you did your best. It was what it was, and it ended up the way it was. You made your decision, and there you are.
They talk about women's intuition.
Oh,
like
that gut.
And like if the elevator door's open and there's a guy on the elevator and you don't feel good, don't get in the elevator.
Correct.
Like, don't say, oh, I'm just being whatever.
I'm
always
overthinking
listen.
it, yeah. Or sometimes when I was young, when I was teenager, when I went to college, I was very comfortable in trusting my gut. I feel like God speaks to me through my gut. I trust in my instincts, and I don't know, it's like when I was going through college towards the end and you get into the real world and you got to make all these adult decisions, you're asking for people's opinions, and then when you start doing that, you get different perspectives, right? Oh, you're thinking about it too much. Why are you feeling that way? You have no proof for that. So it's almost like you start second guessing what was naturally just trust it, just trust your gut. And then as I'm on the other side of a divorce and I'm in my 40s and I'm almost like growing up again and just saying it's okay to trust your gut, and the way it lands will be the way it lands. Just trust it. I don't even ask folks' opinion the way I used to. I just deal with it and I make my own decision and go for it.
Sometimes it's like the more people you ask, the more confusing it gets.
It does. And if you're somewhat of a people pleaser like me, some of the opinions you get, you value more. So if my mother gives me an opinion and I don't do that, is she gonna then be looking at me like, didn't I tell you what to do? And you didn't do it? Like it starts, so I'm learning to kind of just talk it out for myself. And I have to ask myself sometimes, what is it that you want to do? Even when I'm talking to my girls and they're in the middle of these life decisions or even everyday decisions, and they're like, they're throwing up all these options, and you ask them, what is it that you want to do? Remove the bias, remove the people pleasing, remove what you think people want you to do. What do you want to do? And when you ask folks that, they have the hardest time with it. They just look at me and be like, I don't, yeah, you know what you want to do, but you got all of this in your head trying to help. What do you want?
Well, if I do this, people are gonna say, and you're like,
But
honey, people are gonna
say
say
something
anyway.
regardless.
They're gonna say no matter what you do, they're gonna say something.
So remove that. What is it you want to do?
Yeah.
That's what you want to do? Right, wrong, or indifferent. Then do what you want to do.
But when you say God speaks to you, there's also that I have to get quiet to hear that because my head is so loud.
That's right. I do the best. I have the best conversations with God first thing in the morning, and sometimes in the middle of the night when I wake up in my sleep and I can't go back. And usually that's because I have something on my mind that I haven't worked through. I've also done this. I've done this now, and I don't know if it's because of COVID. In the mornings, I don't look at my phone. Because it used to be as soon as I pop open my eyes, I'm looking at the phone, I'm checking emails, I'm trying to see what I need to do for today, what's my agenda. I don't do that anymore. I just lay in my bath and I just sit there looking at the ceiling and I talk to God. Just about anything. I try not to get into this whole thing of what I have to do for the day because then I get feelings of anxiousness. So God, what's going on? Why am I still single? God, am I not doing the right thing with this job? Am I really happy? What do I want to do with my life? And I just talk it out. I do that for a couple of minutes. I say a prayer, then I get up. That's what I do. I just don't believe God has me at this point in my career, in my life, to where I'm miserable. Like, all the work I've put in education, networking, meeting folks, growing, there's just no way God meant for me to be miserable at a job. So when I start not feeling it or not liking it, I'll be like, it's time for me to leave. So when I ask the question of what you want, usually if you're really answering that question, honestly, it's what makes you happy. What is it that you want that's going to make you happy in this situation, in this decision that you have to make? That's all it is.
So when people, they use a different word, this is a non-religious secular word, flow. What is Felicia doing when you enter that state in which you lose yourself in something?
I usually hit that state when I'm running. I mean, I get into it. First, let me be honest, I don't enjoy running. You'll see if
But
people,
you do it.
But I do it, and I tell people all the time, I usually run about maybe 3 miles every day or every other day. But I tell people that is the state in which I am completely free. I don't answer calls, I don't answer texts, I have on music, and I get into this rhythm of hearing my feet on the pavement or concrete, and I'm just free flowing. Things come through my head. Sometimes I don't even know if I'm thinking about anything. It's just the most relaxing, freeing thing. And then I can always tell when I walk back in my house and I get out of that zone, all the things start rushing me. Have you called? Don't forget. Have you paid? Don't forget to reach out to. Don't forget to answer emails. But when I'm running, that's the most relaxing thing for me. I made time after my prayer and I get up, I go running.
Are you a list maker?
I am.
God bless you. I got to learn how to do that.
I am a list maker, but it's becoming more and more about me keeping track of stuff. I also realized when I was waking up in the middle of my sleep, sometimes it was my mind trying to make sure I didn't forget things. But if I make my list and I keep some type of record of what I need to do, I tend to do better. My mind doesn't race as much.
One of the things that some people pray about is, God, how can I be of service? Or the St. Francis prayer is, make me a channel of your peace. The question is, what does that look like?
Okay, so I am a personal stylist. Here's what personal styling does for me. It's not necessarily about the materialism of it, right? It's not about the shopping. It's not about buying the nice clothes and all that. It's about making someone happy with how they look and how they feel. The best compliment I get, I'm a nurturer. I'm a helper. I'm surprised I didn't end up in social work, to be honest with you. But when I get that client that's like, I don't feel pretty, or I don't feel like I own myself, and I don't know what makes me look good, and I just feel, you could tell they're kind of lost. And so when I come and I put them in looks and I put them in colors and I put them in things and they stand in front of the mirror and they're like, I would have never thought to wear this. Oh my God, I love this. And they turn and they profile and they're like, I love it, thank you. Like, that feeds my soul. So it's not even about the money I make off of it, because you could pay me a lot of money and if you're in that mirror and you're like, oh, what is this? I look horrible. Oh, that would mean nothing to me. I love making people smile. I love people feeling like, yeah, I look good. It's something about when people look good, they feel good, or they feel like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but in those moments, I'm just like, yeah, I'm absolutely where I'm supposed to be.
And there's something, they used to call it dress for success, but there is something to occupying the role. Like, I've heard actresses say, when they got the hair right, I was like, yeah, that's her.
That's her. When you, it's amazing, even for me, if I put on a certain dress and I have my hair done and my makeup done, I walk into a room completely different. My confidence is at a different level. My grandma used to tell me all the time, she would never let us walk out the house looking any kind of way. She was like, no, when you walk out this house, you look good because you never know who you're going to run into. And then she said, you'll be surprised when you look good, you feel good. And sometimes I would be in a mood, she'd be like, here, take this money and go get your hair done. When you look good, you feel good. And I think that resonates with a lot of people. It just kind of shifts your mood sometimes.
So how do you help people be who they are as opposed to playing dress up for some kind of aspirational thing that they're never going to be?
So that's a good question. The one thing I do before I style a client is that I have a consultation. I sit and talk with them for about 30 minutes. Almost like what we're doing here, wherever you want to meet, at your house, on Zoom, in a coffee shop. I meet and I just talk. I don't ask them questions yet about what they're looking for. I don't ask them questions about what they want to present. I talk. Talk to me about your family. What's going on with you? Why did you hire me? What is it that you're looking for? And sometimes when you have those initial conversations, you get a more authentic person because they're not trying to fake it. And once I do that, I then go into the questions of, so what celebrities do you like? What style do you like? What's comfortable to you? What colors do you like? It's almost like when you start hitting questions like that, you can only fake so much for so long. And then you kind of get more of an idea of what they are. I hug, I shake hands now because it's COVID, but once I get a feel, I think I'm good at reading people a little bit. I'll bring them what they think they want. Felicia, I want this. I saw this in a magazine. I'll bring them that. But I'll bring them like 5 or 6 other things that I think fits more with what they told me. And 9 out of 10 times, they don't like what they thought they would. They like the other things that seem to fit more about their personality and what they communicated. They just never thought they would work for looks like that because they had already made up their mind that this is what I'm supposed to look like. And so that's how it usually works for me.
So we're near the center of banking in Uptown, and there's a definite uniform.
Yes.
But in most businesses, in most industries, there's a range what you can get away with in the office, but the range has gotten much wider.
I agree. It's not as closed. I think you're absolutely right. It used to be you wear a suit every day. The suits need to be kind of dull colors, gray, blue. You might have a khaki somewhere.
Don't stand out.
Don't stand out. Don't be a distraction. But the world has changed so much generations after us. You know, you got companies now like Google, Amazon who are like, nah, we just want you to work hard and do well. We could care less about what you look like. I mean, really. Come to work in jeans and a t-shirt. We don't care. So now you got banking industries competing with these other industries that are like, nah, we'll take you looking exactly how you want to look, what makes you comfortable. But I think the banking industry has also kind of shifted. I mean, COVID has made us shift a little bit. You got people working from home. It's okay to wear your leggings and a nice shirt and just be comfortable.
There are some people who their look defines them. I mean, I was thinking everyone from like Dolly Parton to RuPaul, if they're a creative, they create the image, and then that is, you never see them, never, ever.
It's almost like they get siloed into that image too, though.
Yes.
Yeah. I think as the world becomes more comfortable with us becoming more casual, it forces the workforce to say, hey, is it really that big of a deal anymore?
Yeah.
I mean, when I first started in banking, I used to have very long hair. But when
how did you do it?
I cut it.
No, I mean, when it was long, how did you do it?
You mean I had it relaxed?
Oh, okay.
I had it relaxed, which kept it straight at all times.
That means?
That means I had it chemically processed to keep it straight. Yes.
That hurts, doesn't it?
It doesn't hurt. It burned. It was a chemical process, so it could burn at times. But when I was growing up, you looked a certain way. So, but what's funny is when I was coming out of college, it was like the professional look when going into banking was short hair. It had to be relaxed, which meant it was straight. You wore a full suit. The suit was either gray, navy, or khaki or something. Like, to your point, it didn't have a lot of texture, didn't have a lot of designs. You kept a very uniform look, and you didn't stand out. and you wanted people to respect. In those moments, to be respected was to look professional, and professional looked like this. And so it hasn't been to, I think I actually stopped relaxing my hair, went natural. And for those who may not know, natural means the way it grows out my head is the way it holds. I don't try to chemically change it. I don't try to straighten it. I let it be what it is. And I think I started that right after my divorce. It's almost like you start letting go of everything that has been this restriction of you, and either you like me for me or you don't. If I don't get the job because my hair is not relaxed, then that's not the job for me. That's what it becomes.
A kind of a narrow range for white men in like what they can do with their hair. There's a relatively narrow range, but for black men and women, there seems to be a lot more creativity, and nothing is neutral.
Right.
Like everything says something. It may say something about your religious beliefs. It may say something about your politics, depending upon how you do your hair.
It does. That also allows people to showcase their personality, to be distinctive in a crowd of folks. Like this is the one thing I can control. This is me. And for all the other stuff that I have to kind of conform to, my hair, I can control what that looks like. I have the ability to change it up for the mood that I'm in. That's why you see so many different looks.
Selfishly, educate me. If I wanted to compliment you about your hair, that's a little bit of dangerous territory, don't you think? Like I know that it's not okay for me to pat your head.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. And don't do that thing where people like, can I touch it? But they're already leaning in to touch it. And you're like, what are you about to do with that finger? I think you handled it just like I think you handled it well when I walked up. You were like, oh, I like your hair. When did you start wearing it like that? I didn't take offense, but I could tell it was genuine. Like, I think that's how you handle it. So much. Here's what people don't want to feel like. I don't want to feel like a zoo animal where you're trying to figure out, and that's what I think people feel like when folks start saying, hey, how did you get it like that? And they start touching and want to feel it. I'm not in a zoo. I don't need to be. You can like it. Just say you like it and be like, I like the way that looks. I wish I could do my hair like that. Say that.
You say you're a hugger, but you're a woman who's in her 40s. Being a hugger, you've had men who will like take advantage or presume things because you're a hugger. So how have you learned to negotiate that territory being a hugger?
When I talk about being able to read folks, I have this thing now where I'm able to feel energy. And I don't know, I just kind of feel this energy when I walk up, and I'm a smiler too. I smile all day, every day. I feel like I can feel the energy in folks and when it's appropriate to receive a hug. I have actually stopped folks and been like, nah, and I've held out my hand. Or I try to get in front of it. If I'm not feeling the person, I try to get in front of it with a handshake before they even come in with a hug. So I try to get in front of it before it becomes an awkward situation.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's what they call emotional intelligence.
It sure is. It sure is.
And so when you say read energy, that's not aura necessarily. I think, of course, we all kind of intuitively know this, that people give off vibes.
They give off vibes, and if you really I think you have to be open to it as well. You know, you have to kind of know what you're sensing. It's a sense. Just like you walked into a room and you can feel the tension in the air. You know something is up, and the first thing you say, what's going on? That's you feeling the energy, the vibes in the room. You have to listen to that when you're meeting people and when you're in moments. When you talked about the elevator, there's a vibe that person's giving off when those doors open. And you got to feel that. You got to be receiving of it. Yeah.
And that's why they tell people, pay attention to what's going on in yourself, because the world sometime will like beat it into you to override, and you need to get back in touch with that, what you were designed with.
I agree.
We have, it's kind of like any kind of broadcasting. We have transmitters, and we also have receivers.
And so much of that we've closed off because it's almost like we need evidence to things. When those elevators the doors open and you sense something, but you don't necessarily have proof that this guy's gonna hurt me. Let me let it go, and you kind of just you don't receive it. But it's okay to say I feel something from this person, and I'm not gonna get on that elevator with them, and that's enough for me. That's enough.
What's the difference in how men and women talk to you and how you talk to them?
I tend to be a little more reserved when I'm talking with men because I've been in situations where even though I thought I was being professional and I didn't think I was sending off signals, my personality being bubbly and I smile a lot, and I'm also a toucher to a certain degree. I've had instances where the male client read that to be something more than what it was. So I
thought you were into them.
Or I was flirting. Whereas I could do those same things with a woman, no problem. So with men now, I'm very aware of whether I touch or not. I tend not to touch anymore.
Even gay women?
Even gay women. I don't know. I don't know if it's because we're women and they know when a woman's hitting on them. I don't know. But I never had that issue with women. But with men, I had to learn I still smile, but I don't necessarily get as close, I want to say. My physical space is a lot different with men than it is women. So that's what I've learned to do. Until me and that client have gotten to a point where we build a better rapport and we're better off reading that just because I touch your hand doesn't mean I'm trying to flirt with you. I don't do any of that anymore. I'm a single woman providing a service. And so, I don't know, sometimes I think people read, oh, she's single. Oh, she just touched me. Oh, she's smiling a lot at me. Is she flirting? And I guess it's our biases, right, that kind of let us either read into that or not. But that's what I try to do. And especially if the man is married, I'm very adamant that when we meet, I meet your wife too.
Yeah.
I'm very adamant about that.
So you're occupying the same space. It's the kind of thing you kind of have to be there. You can't do all this over Zoom. It's a little bit harder to do that.
I've actually been doing Zoom a lot for COVID. And I thought it was going to be hard, but I actually like it.
Oh.
I don't know. I feel like I'm still as engaging with the client. We're talking. My consultations haven't changed. The questions I ask, I do ask them to be in a moment and be in a quiet space where they can focus. But I've had my engagement level has been just as great.
Some men will be very blunt, savage with other men. It's like, that looks like shit,
yes.
You know. I gather you're more nuanced in the way that you talk to people about, like, you don't just say that looks great on you. I mean, sometimes you do, but you say why.
I tend to say why, and a lot of my clients would tell you that. I'll also be kind of blunt about, that doesn't look right on you, but I also would tell them why. I'm big on why. This looks great on you because the color it looks great on you. It brightens you up. It makes you glow. That doesn't look well, and I'll show them. Look how long the pants. Look how it cuts you in half. Look how your torso is much longer. We have conversations. I never just say no without a reason behind it, or I never say, or I don't even just give a compliment and provide some explanation around it. People are why people. They want to understand so that when you leave them and they're back on their own picking out clothes and what to wear, something in them will say, oh, Felicia said this color looks great on me. It does look great on me. I'm going to choose that. That's what I want them to have. That's why I'm always very deliberate about telling them why I'm saying what I'm saying.
People who are obese know they're obese, and they know they have to dress in a way that's comfortable and that makes the most of who they are. You can basically talk to people about if a man is bald, you're going to have to dress for that. You know, if your skin tone is a certain skin tone, you're going to dress for that. And so how do you not tiptoe around, but also not be rude about most of America is overweight, at least, if not obese. So how do you dress around us getting larger?
Part of my consultation as well isn't just about getting information, it's also building rapport. It's also building credibility, where the person trusts me with what I am about to do with them and what I tell them. And I ask the person, I have personal questions around what parts of you do you like? What parts of your body do you not like? And why don't you like it? So some of my clients who tend to be larger in size, they may not like their stomach. I don't like my stomach, Felicia, because of the way it hangs over my pants. So let's do something about that. Maybe I'm putting you now in high-waisted pants, so now that you don't have to worry about hiding yourself. I try to make my customers, I tell them all the time, I don't care what size you are. Size 0 is just as hard for me as a size 22. Or it's just as easy. No size is a perfect size for me to style. It's all a process. We have different body shapes. We're longer in some areas. I just make it clear to them that whatever you're afraid of, let's work through it. So if they're saying they have a problem with their arms, I'll specifically find outfits that show their arms because I want you to be comfortable in your skin. And I tell them what makes you attractive is your confidence. If you're confident, you'll show up in a room and you'll light it up. It's the people that try to hide. I'm big. You know, they'll say to themselves, I'm big. These negative thoughts, I'm big. I can't wear that because of my size. No, you can wear it. We just got to find the right cut of it for your size.
Well, you told me, I believe.
Oh, wait, what are you going to say?
Don't tuck your shirt in. And I was like, come on, I'm going to come off like I'm trying to be young, hip, slick, and cool. And you said, no, you can get away. You're not going to work for the bank. You're not going in front of the judge. And that way, I don't have to be aware of my gut. It camouflages or disguises. It works. It makes for like a cleaner line.
And that was also about your personality. You're such a kind of cool, free-flowing dude, and I just felt like that was something that was like this thing that was like, you just felt like it had so much attention to it. I was like, nah, be cool. And it works for you. Your whole personality fits with that.
So I was like, no matter what I wear today, Felicia's going to have an opinion. and finally I was like, screw it. I'm not going to dress up. I'm going to wear this loose-fitting shirt. So particularly with women, how do you say, I don't want you to be miserable, to pack yourself into something that is just so uncomfortable, whether it's stilettos or just like a pantyhose or whatever, that, or a bra that doesn't fit, you know?
I tell my clients, I told them the number one thing we have to do with each other is always communicate and be honest. If you do not like something I put you in, no matter how much I tell you you look great, no matter how much I tell you it's perfect, if you do not like that, you say you don't like it. And we'll find you something else. Because at the end of the day, you've got to wear it. Communication is huge with me. So even when my clients stand in front of the mirror and they put on something, I've had them say, okay, so tell me what you like about it. They'll list off. Tell me what you don't like. I don't like how I'm gonna have to be in this bra, or it's so tight. Then let's not do it. If it's not, you have to own, and to a certain degree, we're all adults. You have to own what makes you happy with this and what doesn't. It's not about what Felicia says I have to wear. It's not about what Felicia, as the expert in this, if she says I have to do this and I need to do it, regardless of what I feel. No, I want you to be happy in it as well. I'm not going to be another person that's telling you what to do when you're miserable at what I told you, but you're doing it because I'm the expert in it. No, you have a right to say, I do not like that. I do not. And you know, there is this little movement going on since everyone's been on quarantine for so long. Women don't want to wear bras anymore. Women don't want to wear Spanx anymore. They don't want to wear uncomfortable shoes. I don't know the last time I've been in a pair of heels. People are kind of shifting. You've got to
Is that an age thing?
No. I think it's just sometimes we get caught up in looking and doing certain things because we're expected. And then once you're kind of forced to step out of that, you're not in quarantine wearing heels all day. You don't want to wear that bra or that Spanx. You want to be comfortable. That's why you got women saying, I do not want to put on another suit. I want to wear my leggings and my comfortable shirt. How can I make that look nice and presentable for work? I want to wear nice flats. Can you find me some that got a little bit of bedazzle to them because I still want to be comfortable, but I just wanted to have a little spark. It's just a different mindset going on.
I'm going to use 2 words, and I want your just riff on it, okay?
Okay.
Yoga pants.
Love them.
Because?
Comfortable. They hold you in all the right places. I don't know. They're just the most freeing piece of garment. I love it. And they go with so many different things.
Good invention.
Oh, great invention.
Net good.
That's good. And they come in so many different sizes, cuts. For whatever size you are, there's a pair of yoga pants for you.
I feel like I'm getting a mixed message.
Okay.
Like if somebody wears yoga pants and I'm wrong, and I get a big lecture about the male gaze. And so I think there's this very delicate, there was a Jerry Seinfeld episode about this, in which talked about this young woman's cleavage, and he said, it's like the sun. You just glance and look away.
I was going to say, are you glancing or are you leering?
Exactly. And that's a fine line.
You do your quick glance, and then you look away. Don't leer. Don't leer.
Well, see, that's good. That's good information.
Because you know what's funny? We, as women, or anybody probably, we can feel when someone's looking. Like, you just feel it. So if I look over my shoulder and I see you, I'm going to stare back. What you looking at? What are you looking at?
Would you say something?
Even though I know I look good back there.
It depends
I
on
would.
who it is.
I'll tip my, what you looking at? And then usually you may get the guy that's like, oh, I'm sorry. Or you may get the guy, I mean, it's just, and then he'll just walk off. I'm like, yeah, quit staring. It's a very thin line.
It's
Absolutely.
a strange age. And my daughters would be, all of them raised by their mother to be very good feminists, would be just appalled that I would even ask that question.
But I think it's a fair question, right? We got all these, nothing is as black and white as people want it to be. It's not. There's gray all day. And I think what gets us, not what bothers us, but what causes us to ask the question is because we're genuine people, right? We want to be respectful of you, but I'm also encountering this, so how do I handle it? I really want to be respectful in how I handle it. Yeah.
Is there such a thing as dressing black? I don't care if it's the U.S. military or Bank of America, that black folk have had to, quote unquote, dress white.
Yes.
You know, and so if you go to work for Bank of America, how can you sort of express your authentic who you are, or how could you adopt a certain style without it being cultural appropriation?
God, that's a great question. For me, as a black woman perspective, I guess when I dress now, for whether I'm going into those environments or not, I've kind of gotten to the point where, I don't know, and I don't know if this is even the politically correct way to say it, I don't care. I have gotten to the point, I guess so much of my beginning life and career was so much about what do white men want to see, what do white women want to see to make them comfortable with sitting across from me at a table, to where they're not staring at my hair, they're not staring at my skin tone, or they're not looking at my clothes and like, why did she put that together? You almost conform to what you think they want to see you in. I'm now to a point where I'm like, nah, I like colors and I like I like puffy sleeves and I like standing out in a room. But I do believe there is this line between being authentic to your style and personality and being like this huge distraction. Like, I want you to see me. I want you to know who I am. But I think you have to get comfortable with, this is my personality, this is what I like. So when I walk into a room, it doesn't look like I'm trying so hard. It's just like, oh, that's Felicia. Yeah, that looks great on her. And as far as that cultural appropriation, sometimes I feel there are some garments that have a culture with them. So when you talk about the shikis, that's African culture. So it's hard to see someone white or Caucasian in that when that's not a part of your culture. So I think that's what I think we all have this line to kind of say, is this really about me, or am I trying to look like something else or someone else? I tell people, you dress to the audience. So if your clients, if you want to bring in an older group, you want to bring in certain incomes, but this is what they tend to look like, then you may want to dress to that. But maybe you want to dress more to, I want to bring in a younger group. I want to bring in people that are of a certain age, and bring in women, make them feel comfortable. Then I'm going to dress to what makes that group more attractive, or comfortable to me. That's what I think it becomes more about. What is it that you want? What is it you want to get out of this? Are you wanting to bring in this certain clientele, or are you wanting to bring in this certain clientele? And what does that clientele, what makes them comfortable? What looks tend to make that clientele comfortable with you? I think it's just so much bigger. And then, so I actually have a friend that, as he's getting older, he's a physical therapist, and he doesn't want to just do physical therapy for people his age. He wants to do it for younger folks and make them comfortable. And he's like, Felicia, I don't wear facial hair. I don't wear full facial hair. I may just wear a massage, because I feel like when I wear full facial hair, it dates me. It makes me look older. But I want other people, because we're physically, intimate to certain degrees. I don't want them looking at me like I'm their daddy. And I said, I get it. So he may wear more colors, but his colors may not go to so extreme to where it alienates his other group. He has to kind of walk this balance.
You could actually probably make more money or get a better job depending on how you dress for the interview or in the... Mm-hmm. Like it could be the difference between you selling a car or not selling a car.
It could. Part of my business also is going to colleges to talk to them about why what you look like matters. And I tell people all the time that, yeah, they may have your resume and they may know what you have to offer, but when you walk in that room to do your interview, they've sized you up 3 and 4 times about, will this person fit in my group? How does this person look intelligent based upon what they got on? Or is this person gonna cause me trouble because of what they have on? Like, people are making decisions about you solely based upon what you look like when you walk into a room. So when people are like, well, that shouldn't matter, but it does. We're visual people. Then what you're working back to, what happens is, now you're sitting giving the interview, and I'm over here, I've already made up my mind about 3 or 4 things, and I'm trying to see if you are like what I'm thinking, or what you tell me is going to be different from what I'm already assuming you to be. So now you're working against something you have no idea you're working against. So make sure that when you walk into the room, what is it you want people to see or say about you when they see you? What is it? I want them to see me as professional, smart, attractive. Then that's what you need to dress and look like then.
If I were to wear a suit with a necktie, mm-hmm. and you and I were to sit in a studio and talk behind microphones, we would have a different conversation than me wearing an open collar, no jacket, jeans, sitting on a park bench under an umbrella. We would have a different interaction.
You think so?
Absolutely.
You don't think our personalities will be exactly what they are, even in those moments?
I think they would, but I think you're setting up impediments. That's the whole reason I'm saying let's sit in the rain as opposed to let's sit in Advent co-working behind some microphones.
Well, okay, so I probably could agree with you on that. I think, because remember when we were initially talking, you were saying you would come to my place?
Yes.
And I was like, I know how I am in this place, and then I have a little bit of family. I guess I'm agreeing with what you're saying, because I was like, nah, let's meet outside. Let me get out of this, because I tend to have a different reaction, or I handle myself differently in this environment. Let me get out somewhere where I can be comfortable and free and just talk. Yeah. So that brings back a memory when I was talking to these, I had to do a Zoom call with this organization, these girls, how to be professional, how you show up. And these are young girls that are like in junior high school, and it's first thing in the morning. And when I was getting ready, there was this piece of me that was like, all right, so are you going to try to dress a little more casual? Because the girls range from ages 8 to 15. And I said to myself, what are you about to talk about? And I was like, I'm about to talk about being professional and showing up. So I put on a nice dress. I had my makeup done. I had my hair done. 8 o'clock in the morning. And I remember when the Zoom came up, the whole crowd just went, whoosh. They just got hushed. And the lady that was organizing it was like, we're quiet because you just look so good at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, whereas they were kind of very casual, right? T-shirts, very kind of like, oh, I'm just coming to hear a speaker. But I told them the lesson in this is that when you look at me, you have a different opinion of me. You're like, this girl is knowing what she's talking about. She stepped up to present us this information. And what she says, I'm probably going to listen to a little differently had I not dressed like that. I'm showing up for what I want you to receive. And after that call, the woman that was leading was like, oh, from now on, I'm showing up. No, I don't care what we talk about. I want to show, because it brings a different rapport in that room. It brings a different level of respect sometimes. So I get it. I think you're absolutely right.
If we get hit by lightning today, and the only thing that survives is this little piece of audio, what is your legacy?
I want people to remember me being an authentic, genuine person that wanted to make people feel good about themselves. That's what I want. That's what I care about. Oh my God, that was a great question. A great question. When I was growing up and coming out of college, I wanted to be the CEO of an organization making all this money, and I wanted them to look at me, and I don't even care about that stuff no more. I just really want to be remembered as a good, authentic person. We meet so many fake people in this world now, these facades. And I just want to be remembered for someone that wanted to make people feel good about themselves. A genuine person. A genuine. Yeah.
I have always encountered you as being real.
That's exactly what I want people to feel. That's when people tend to take me and be open with me. You know, when I'm working with clients, I don't want to put on a facade. I don't want to come presenting myself, because I'm a stylist. I could come in there all dressed up and designer and all this other stuff, but that's not necessarily me. I want you to be comfortable with me. Yeah.
Thank you, Felicia Bittle.
This has been great, Stuart. I bet you meet so many cool people doing this.
I do, like you.
Thank you.
Felicia Bittle, thank you so much. It was so much fun, even in the rain, even under the umbrellas, out in the park. A wonderful conversation. I appreciate it.
Man Listening is a production of Unmediated LLC in cooperation with the Queen City Podcast Network and Balto Creative Media. Allison Andrews at Andrews Creative and Rachel Clapp Miller are developmental producers. Sally Higgins at Higgins & Owens tries to keep us legal. Our music is A Day at the Park by the group Pictures of the Floating World. Your announcer is Catherine Smith. That's me. Please go to our Patreon page. You'll find us at patreon.com. Look for Man Listening, one word, no spaces. We hope you'll join us by becoming a member. A small investment can raise up the conversation. If you want exclusive member merch like a t-shirt, we can arrange that too.
I really just want to say thank you and how grateful I am to everyone who has supported Man Listening through your interviews, through your contributions, through your support, and encouragement from the very beginning. Thanks so much.
Don't forget to support us at Patreon. We believe one voice can change the conversation. Click the subscribe button, and next week you'll hear.
And so from Ohavia Phillips to the world, I will always be that person that shows love.
That's next week on Man Listening.